This is TradeFlow News, bringing you relevant news and insights from around the world. TradeFlow News, enabling trade for SMEs and economies worldwide.
These are some of the key topics that we will be looking into in today's program.
First, let's take a look at the overnight headlines which are impacting the commodity markets.
Global oil demand will keep growing until around the end of this decade despite peaking in top importer China in 2027, as cheaper gasoline and slower electric vehicle adoption in the United States support consumption, the International Energy Agency said on Tuesday. Despite seeing an earlier demand peak for China, the IEA, which advises industrialized countries, stuck to its prediction that global demand will peak by 2029. This view sharply contrasts with that of producer group OPEC, which says consumption will keep growing for much longer. Oil demand will peak at 105.6 million barrels per day, BPD, by 2029 and then fall slightly in 2030, a table in the Paris-based IEA's annual report shows.
Oil prices eased in Asian trade on Wednesday, after a gain of 4% from the previous session, as markets weighed the chance of supply disruptions from the Iran-Israel conflict against a U.S. Federal Reserve rates decision that could weigh on oil demand. Brent crude futures slipped 49 cents, or 0.6%, to $75.96 a barrel by 0620 GMT. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures fell 38 cents, or 0.5%, to $74.46 per barrel. Both had initially been up 0.3% to 0.5% in early trade. U.S. President Donald Trump called on Tuesday for Iran's unconditional surrender as the Iran-Israel air war entered a sixth day.
Moving on to the top news in the energy sector.
Energy majors are pouring money into gas exploration and production in Malaysia and Indonesia to meet rising power demand from growing populations and the proliferation of data centers in the region. The wave of investments come as European majors pivot back to more profitable conventional fuels as countries embark on different energy transition paths, while Southeast Asian governments want more affordable local gas supplies to drive economic growth and improve energy security. At the Energy Asia conference in Kuala Lumpur this week, Shell committed to increasing its investments in Malaysia by 9 billion ringgit, $2.12 billion, over the next 2 to 3 years, Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim said on Tuesday.
Brent crude's premium to Middle East benchmark Dubai soared above $3 a barrel on Wednesday, market sources said, hitting its highest since late September 2023 according to LSEG data. Brent's exchange futures for swaps, EFS, to Dubai for August traded at a premium of $3.33 a barrel on Wednesday, three oil brokers said. The overnight surge in Brent crude and a strong market structure is keeping the EFS supported in recent sessions, said the brokers, who asked to remain unidentified. Next, we have the top news in metal markets. Group of 7 nations gathered for a summit have agreed 6 joint statements on subjects such as critical minerals, artificial intelligence and wildfires, host nation Canada said on Tuesday. The other topics they agreed statements on were quantum computing, migrant smuggling and transnational repression. Prime Minister Mark Carney is due to issue a separate chair's statement later.
Iron ore futures fell on Wednesday and were on track for a fifth session of declines, pressured by slowing demand for the steel-making material in top consumer China. The most traded September iron ore contract on China's Dalian Commodity Exchange ended daytime trade 0.5% lower at 695 yuan and 50 fen, $96.79, a metric ton. The benchmark July iron ore on the Singapore Exchange shed 0.41% to $92.04 a ton as of 0702 GMT.
We will now look at the top news in the agricultural sector.
Chicago soybean futures eased as traders booked profits on Wednesday following a 3-day price rally driven by strength in soy oil and the broader energy market, while ongoing tariff uncertainty capped further gains. The most active soybean contract dipped 0.23% to $10.72 per bushel, though it still hovered near a one-month high. Support for agricultural commodities such as soybeans and corn has been underpinned by rising energy prices, fueled by escalating tensions between Israel and Iran. Higher crude oil prices improve the competitiveness of soy oil and corn as biofuel feedstocks.
That is all for today's news on commodity markets. Stay tuned to TradeFlow News as we continue to provide you with more updates. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter at TradeFlow News, which allows you to watch our program on your mobile device or desktop to receive information from there.